Hello, I'm going to show you how to make a poker game tree using GameTreeCalculator. This is going to be a river decision, but as you'll see, the game tree structure will get rather complex, so hang on tight. First I'm going to define the players. There will be a player A. I will rename the default player 0 to A and press save. And then, I will add player B and press save. For each of these players, I'm going to give them a range of holdings. This is going to be fairly generic, though I won't make different hands like aces, kings, queens. I'm just going to pretend that the players have linear ranges, falling into 5 buckets. Starting with player A here, the buckets will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And these will all have equal probability. You'll see that these are going to scale once I press save, though each has a 20% probability. And I'll give B the same exact holdings. In actual poker, it's unlikely the river ranges would be linear like this. But we're going to simplify the game for this example. I'll press save, and now you can see that each player has 1 through 5 for private information. Now, I'm going to start making decision nodes. Starting from the top, player will be the first to act, and player will have 2 choices. As you can probably guess, check or bet. And now I'm just going to continue along with the other decision nodes. So here is player B, who can check or bet in response to player A's check. And if player B decides to bet, then player A can fold, call or raise. And in response to player A's raise, player B can either fold or call. I'll cut off decision making at this node. Now going back to the top decision node, if player A decides to bet, then player B will have a decision. Player B can either fold, call, or raise. And then if player B decides to raise, player A can either fold or call. Those are our decision nodes. And then I can go ahead and create terminal nodes. I will make sure every path through the game tree ends in a terminal node. And now that the game tree is fully hooked up, it's time to go into each terminal node and define the payoffs. I will start with this terminal node here. For this one I will explain the function in detail. And for the rest, I'll do a lot of copy and paste and making small modifications. So first of all, I want to define a few variables. The pot size is going to start at 2. The initial bet size will be 1. And the raise size will always be 5. This means that going into the river, the pot size starts at 2. The initial bet that either player can make is 1. And the raise one can make in response to a bet will be 5. And now I'll define how to choose the winner. If private's index 0, exceeds private's index 1, there will be one set of payoffs. Else if private's index 1 exceeds private's index 0, there will be another set of payoffs. And finally, if the players have the same cards, the last payoff. I'll put the payoffs in. In this case, for this terminal node here, it went check check. So the winner is going to win the pot. And the loser loses nothing. That means that the payoffs look like this. And in the case that they're tied, each player gets half the pot. And I will save. Now I'm going to use the same structure and paste it into all of the terminal nodes. Then I will make modifications, because in each terminal node, payoffs are going to be somewhat different depending on the situation. So I'll go ahead and do some pasting. And remember to always press save. Okay. Now for each of these terminal nodes, I will take a look at these payoffs to make sure they make sense. So in this case here, there was a bet and a fold. This means that player B, who was the one who bet, is always going to win this pot. And player A, who folded, will lose nothing. Save that. Here there was a bet by player B and a call by player A. And so the payoffs will look like this. Basically, player A is going to win the pot plus a bet from player B. In this case, player A will lose a bet and player B will win. Pot plus bet. And here, they will split the pot. Moving on to this terminal node, there was a bet, a raise, and a fold. Though in this case, player A is going to win pot plus bet. And player B will lose a bet. In all three cases, in this next terminal node, there was a check, raise, and call. So in this case, I've introduced a raise. And so the payoffs will look like this. Player A wins pot, plus the bet and the raise. And player B loses the bet and the raise. In this case, it's the opposite. And in the last case, players split the pot. Moving along to this bet, followed by fold situation. Here player A is going to win the pot. In all cases, save. This was a bet followed by a call. In this case, I will have pot plus the one bet. The opposite situation right here, where the payoffs are switched around. And then of course, they split the pot in the final case. Moving on over here. This was a bet raise fold situation. And so here, player A is going to lose the bet. And player B will always win. And finally, this was a bet raise call situation. And so the pot-offs will be pot plus bet plus raise minus bet minus raise. The opposite situation right here. Minus bet minus raise, and pot plus bet plus raise. And then, the players split the pot in the third situation. Now I can go ahead and press the calculate button. I get an error about a payoff function. Failed to evaluate JavaScript code. I'm going to take a look at which of these terminal nodes has this ID and figure out what's going on. Let's see. BB7 it starts with. It's not that. It looks like I did not save this terminal node. I'll go ahead and paste what this should look like. It's saved, and I will try to recalculate. It takes a moment since it's a fairly complex game tree. And there you have it. This is the solution. And so, I will leave it as an exercise to the viewer to look at the solution for all the decision nodes. But I will look at this decision node here. You can see that player A has this check or bet decision. And if you look down at the strategy here, you can see that player A should bet with some of his strong hands and bluff with his weakest. Player A should reserve some of the very strongest hands for a check raise. This is what you would expect for a linear range versus a linear range. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to press the chat with us button and send your questions along.